Hey guys, welcome to my first tutorial. So I decided on my first tutorial that I wanted to show you guys how I make a composite combining a digital backdrop with a subject, and how I blend, for instance, like a grassy area, or it could also be used for sand or water as well. It doesn't work very well if you're trying to blend for a, say, wood on the ground or a solid ground like concrete or something like that, but it works really well with the trick that I use, to blending the grass in with another subject. I do want to let you know that I am using Photoshop CC version 19. I haven't used the updated version of the 20.0 just yet because I feel that there's still some more bugs that they need to kink out, and so I'm just going to stick it out right now with the 19 version. Okay, so for starters, I have got my digital backdrop that I'm going to be using, which it's going to be this mossy little grassy looking feel to it. Um, and this is going to be my digital backdrop that I use. The subject I'm going to be using is going to be this super cute little caterpillar that I had found on another site that I subscribed to. It's called Pixabay, or I'm sorry, it's called Pixel Squid is the site that I use, and that's where I've got this guy from. Okay, so in order for you to get your subject onto your digital backdrop, you'll either need to cut them out or have them already pre-cut out. This guy's already pre-cut out for us, so I'm just going to select my move tool, go over to my little caterpillar, grab him, and drag him up to the file that I want to drop him down to. Now I'm going to keep the file size up here the same size because this is one of my digital backdrops that I created, and it is for sale on my Etsy page. I do have other digital backdrops that I sell as well on there, um, but this is going to be one that's already a large file, and it's already been pretty much enhanced to where I like it to be as far as this composite's going to go. So I've got my little caterpillar here. Now I'm just going to transform him to the size that I want him to be. You can always keep him the same shape if you want to by just clicking on whatever bracket you want to start with and holding down the shift key, and that's going to keep him the same shape. But I am actually going to change his shape by letting go of the shift key and just transforming him a little bit more to the way I want him to look. So I think about that size is good. I'm just going to go up here and check mark OK. Now with this backdrop, I did notice, I'm going to turn him off right now. I noticed my grass was a little too soft in this area, and I wanted to sharpen it up just a little bit. Some people already may know this method. I like to use it if I want to bring back a little bit more detail into certain areas. So I'm going to use this method. What it is I'm going to duplicate the background. I'm going to right click, go up to duplicate layer. Okay. Then I'm going to go up to filter, go down to other, and go over to high pass. High pass is going to bring back some of the details wherever you're looking for. You can change the high pass to however much detail you want to bring back to it, to an image, or how little you want to bring back to. If you just want just a small amount, you can always drop it down. But I think I'm going to start out for this one at a 17. I'm going to click OK. Then I'm going to go over here to the layers panel, and I'm going to change this layer down to a soft light. There's all different types of different things that you can do in the layers panel. It just depends on what kind of look you're going for. But since I'm just going for needing to bring back some of the detail, I'm just going to change it to the soft light. But I'm going to show you what a couple do. Multiply is going to make it really dark. Overlay, it's sort of like a soft light, but it's a little bit more harsher. That's why I like to go with the soft light. Screen is going to be a white. color that's going to bring it back to it. And like I said, there's all different types that you can play around with, but we're going to go with the soft light right now. I'm going to show you what that did to it. I'm going to zoom in a bit. Try to get in here as close as I can. It's on right now. I'm going to turn it off and back on, off and back on. You can see where it brought some details really back into it. Now also, if I only wanted to bring the details back into some of the grass, you can always make a layer mask by coming down here to the layer mask panel, down on the bottom corner on the right hand side, add layer mask. And then what I would do, since I'm only going to be using this small little section, I would push Control I and invert it to completely black, to where it's going to erase it completely. And I'm going to go through here and just take my white brush, and I'm going to brush away some of this right in here, because this is where I wanted the clarity to be at. I'm going to up my brush all the way up. I'm just going to come in here and bring that clarity right on back, because this is going to be the area that I'm about to be using, but I didn't want to have too much noise or too much clarity and lose away from the image right in there. Like I said, this is completely a preference thing. You can do it however you feel, and this tutorial is really just to show you guys how my little trick on blending grass with a subject. Okay, so now that I've got that to where I like that, I'm going to hold down my shift key and click on both the background and the backdrop. I'm going to right click, and then I'm going to merge these two layers together. Now I'm going to turn my caterpillar back on, and this is the fun part. So now I'm going to go up to, I'm going to make sure I'm clicked onto my background. I'm going to go up to my quick selection tool, and then I'm going to click and drag all these little grassy pieces around him. I don't want to get too much, but I don't want to get too little, but I'm not too picky as well. Just enough to kind of bring some of that grass back in. Now I'm going to turn him off, and the reason why I'm going to turn him off is this next step. The next step, I'm going to go up to Select and Mask. I'm going to go over to my Smart Radius, because I'm going to let that pick up some of the radius around it itself. I'm going to up it to probably about a 5 and let that work its magic. Maybe a 7. Okay, that's about good. Then I'm going to go over to my Refine Edge Brush tool right here. It's going to be this one up here on the left hand top corner. And I'm just going to brush in between all of these grassy pieces where I don't want grass to be picked up on. Everything that is going to be red, it will not be on top of the caterpillar. So all of the green grassy pieces, those are going to be on top of the caterpillar. I kind of stumbled upon this little technique one day when I was fixing hair and working on some hair, picking up those little tiny pieces of hair. And I thought, why can't I just do this for grass whenever I'm trying to do a composite? So I gave it a try one day, and I just absolutely fell in love, and this has just always been my trick. And once you do it a few times, it just kind of flows and goes a little bit quicker for you. As far as getting your technique down. Also, I'm not liking how it erased out too much in here, so I'm just going to erase that back off. I went up and hit the negative and erased that back off. Let me drop this down just a hair. Make sure I click my plus brush, my Refine tool plus brush back on. And just a few little more spots, and I think it'll be good. Okay, I think I'm pretty satisfied with that. As soon as it's done uploading, I will click OK. Okay, now I'm bring my caterpillar back. I'm going to make sure I'm still back on my backdrop. I'm going to right click over the selection. And I'm going to go up to layer via copy. What that did, that made a copy of our selection that we just did. So I'm going to take that grassy layer copy, drag it above my caterpillar, and drop it. Now you can see he is clearly behind it. I think he's a little bit too much behind it. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and add a layer mask on him. I'm going to keep the layer mask as white. I'm going to make sure I have a black brush. Go over to my brushes. I'm going to drop it down. I'm going to drop my opacity down to about 25. I'm just going to kind of go through here and brush away some of the little areas because I want some of the detail of that caterpillar coming through, but he was kind of hidden on too much of that grass. Drop it down just a little bit more, make my brush just a little bit bigger and a little bit softer all the way. I love the soft brushes, especially when I'm playing around with the grass and different little fantasy type pictures. Kind of gives it that little feel back. Alright, I think he looks pretty good. So now you see it looks like the grass is in front of him there, and you can even zoom in and try to get those fine little details if you wanted to. Like you can see some of his spots are coming through. Let me go back on my little white brush. Up that opacity. I'm going to bring some of that back there. See, and you can just easily bring it back by just bringing your white brush back and just going back through there and brushing it back on. It's a lot better using a mask versus using the erase tool, because once you erase it, it's gone. You can use a mask and then white and black, just bring it back. Just kind of brush it back on there. Kind of get into those little details. Okay, I think that's really cute. So now what I'm going to look at is the caterpillar. He looks really crisp and sharp and in focus. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to blur him just a little bit by going up to filter. I'm going to go down to blur and Gaussian blur. I don't want to blur him too much, so I think a 1.3 is going to be a good starting point. You know what, I think a 1.5. I'm going to leave him at the 1.5. And then I'm also going to go in here and blur his cute little arms just to kind of blend him in a little bit better with the mushroom background. You can do that locally by grabbing the blur brush. The blur brush is going to be this little teardrop brush, and you'll just take it. You can set your strength up here for however strong you want it to be. I think since it's so blurry down there, I'm going to up this to 60%. I think my size is a good brush. Yeah. I'm just going to kind of brush over him. You want to make sure that you've selected onto the caterpillar too. You can always also change your layers and double click on them and change the name. Like you can change this one to caterpillar. I am not a big fan of doing all of that because I feel that's extra work that I don't need to do. As long as I remember which layer was which and I don't have a lot of layers to work with. So there's no need really for this this composite. So I'm on my caterpillar layer. I'm going to brush away, blend him in just a bit more on his arms, just with the backdrop. And you notice I'm only doing these to the caterpillar layer. I'm not changing anything on the backdrop layer, and that's why I don't compress everything until the very end. Another thing that you can do, it's really great with Photoshop, is if you can keep remembering, you'll have to go over to your history bar and you'll click this little camera here. If you click this little camera, it's going to take this little neat snapshot. That way, if there was something way back, and you forgot that you wanted to add something or do something, it's going to create a snapshot right up here. And it's going to bring it back to the way it was before. Okay? Okay, I think he is all done and ready for his debut. Alright, guys, I'm pretty pleased with the way this one turned out. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me, comment in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I would love to see compositing. Until the next time, bye.